Welcome to the RPO Football Show. I'm your host, Steve Hunter. You guys know my Twitter handle is IDP Hunter, the writer and analysis over at Fancy Six Pack and the RPO Network. I'm also an ECR ranker over at Fantasy Pros. I'm joined with another RPO Network and also an ECR ranker. We know him as Mase. You guys may know him as Cali King 49er 17.
Today, I don't know. Probably
How many have you done so far, if you don't mind me asking?
Like 10 leagues so far.
I'm probably less than 20, more than 10. I've done so many of these. They're fun.
Yeah.
This one was really rewarding to me because it was all the RPO staff. So this is an expert draft, if you will. If you look at it, everybody on here is strong. They have strong teams. And I took over an orphan in this one, so I guess I'm the little kid. So I was fighting. I was trying to make as many trades as I could. You see me in there laughing. It's a good time, and that's what you want. You want to be around, brothers in arms. You want to be around other soldiers that want to have fun but also come out and get it. And, well, shoot, you know these guys more than I do, but let me introduce you to the staff for the audience at home. For the people on Spotify that can't see my screen, I literally pulled up our draft, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite hits. But we had some dudes in this draft, okay? We had some ballers, in my opinion. It starts at the 1.1. There's a guy named Big Steve FF. I know him as Steve Scholes. He's been on my show. He writes over at IDP Plus. He writes over here. He writes a lot of smart articles. He's also a scout at the Senior Bowl. He's been on a lot of our shows. Check him out. 1.02 is a guy I haven't met personally. His name is Beachhead, okay? Beachhead Randy, he writes over here at the RPO. He's also over there. He does a lot of fantasy football leagues. I'll tell you what about Beachhead. I'm going to pay him a compliment real quick, Mase. I tried my darndest to move up in the second round in this draft. I tried. This guy ran the second round, as you can see. He controlled it. And he sent me a very kind message. He's like, look, dude, I've been planning this for 2 I've been setting up my draft board. I know exactly what I want to get, and I respect it. But everybody else was commenting too. 1.3 is Dynasty Guru NFL. That's Alex M. He writes for Roto Ballers and the Six Pack and RPO. He was commenting on Beachhead too. He's like, dude, this guy won't give me any of these spots. And I'm like, yeah, rightfully so. We're in the RPO chat. We're all laughing about it. Like, he knows what he wants. You can't – I threw so many deals at him. He just wasn't biting. But, yeah, those were your first three. 1.04 is wild card. He had himself a strong draft. The next guy coming up here, what is that? The 1.5, TFF Robbie. He goes by Robbie Moore. He's another he's a producer over there at the TFFG. He hosts the Fantasy Football Guys, the Daily Show, and he's also a writer with us here. Shadowcat, 1.6. Shadowcat is SC Romero. Great dude, great host. He runs a lot of different networks. Not only that, he's the co-founder of the Fantasy Football Universe. Much respect, IDP Hunter. I don't know IDP Hunter. I never heard of that guy. That guy's a hack. Let's just move on to him. We'll talk about the good stuff. 1.9. What kind of username's that? The Cali King 17. Mase, where'd you come up with that name from, if you don't mind me asking?
So when I was in the military, I've missed home, so I put California in there. King, I'm a Sacramento Kings fan. Even when they sucked for that 20-year spread. They're okay now, I guess, depending on who you ask, but beat the Lakers out this year. And then 17 was the year that I got out of the military.
And then 1.10, we had Tackle Box 44. He's another one of the guys over here people want to pay attention to. He has his own thing going on, Tackle Box Props. He does all the sports betting over here on this network. And that's another thing, if I can just get this in, Mase, run a promotion right now. All of our rookie stuff's free. All of our dynasty stuff's free. Not only that, you got me, you, Leo, we're top 10 part of this community, and that's what Tackle Box does. So, the audience at home that's interested, or the audience at home listening to Spotify, YouTube, please check this out. Last but not least are my final two. 1.11 is Pedro. I know he's in Brazil. I know you guys have that relationship. I think a wide receiver of this caliber could produce well, produce quickly, especially with Kelsey slowing down a bit. So, I kind of like that pick, and he's going. This is the baseline. A lot of these players are going about this round. Like if you want a Brooks, if you want a Worthy, you're gonna have to come up and get them, and that's what we've seen in this draft.
Yeah. To start off round 2, I don't want to steal your thunder, but the reason why I was surprised because all right, Brooks, I could see going at the end of the rounds. Like Master IDP didn't have another pick for
that's
a while.
fine.
So he wanted to get his guy. Completely understandable. You do it. It's a staple. Maybe it starts a run. It didn't here. However, Cooper going then allowed for Beachhead to go and get Ladd McConkey, who could be the security blanket for years to come for Justin Herbert. So that's really come up for him right there.
Was there anybody else besides Worthy in the first that you like enjoyed or you thought was a good pick, or maybe just value in general?
Yeah, I liked your Bowers pick. Obviously, I was trying to trade for the 1.5 to get it.
See my eyebrows? I was trying to get you there.
Yeah,
I knew you were coming up. You were trying to get me for my pits, and I usually see Bowers go about 1.6, so I thought that was really good value on that player.
Yeah.
You're not worried about the Raiders landing spot though?
For
Bowers.
Oh, for Bowers? No, I mean I think it could be used in a multitude of ways. So I don't think it really hurts that much. I mean, they also have Devontae Adams, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there'll be scheme concepts. He might be touchdown dependent his first year, but what tight end is it?
He's been solid in college. He had 20%, I think, his freshman year, and then he and they probably are likely going to put him in the slot. That's what they keep saying. So there's probably wide receiver 2-3 value there. I like it. And then everyone's like, what about Mase? What about the other tight end? Well, he was for the old regime. So there's a lot of people high on Bowers. I've had people on my show. They're talking about he's a top 5. I don't know about all that yet.
You got to see him play first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, as I was going to say, you're putting a tight end, make him another wide receiver on your team. And I do know like these tight ends produce quickly in the new NFL. But I thought that was a good pick where I got him. The quarterbacks were going to go. I thought Worthy was a good pick. I agree with you. I don't take Brooks that early, but you just said it, and that was a smart thought. He doesn't have a 2.1, and Beachhead got it. Superfan Beachhead. He's on the beach somewhere. I don't know what he's doing, but he's got all these players. He's not moving off that pick. So if he didn't get Brooks, I bet you the Ladd McConkey and Brooks would have been switched around. I'm like you, though. I'm more interested in the second round. Let me just read them to you. 2.1, Ladd McConkey. 2.2, Benson. 2.3, Penix. 2.4, Kean Coleman. 2.5, Purcell. 2.6, Brian Thomas Jr. Keeps falling, doesn't he? 2.7, Marshawn Lloyd. 2.8, Leggett. 2.9, Senat, which you sneakily took, and I'm going to ask your thoughts on that in a minute. That was that's my favorite pick in the whole draft, mind you.
Really?
Yeah, well, I'll talk with that. 2.10, Dallas Turner, and I think I need some glasses here because I'm starting to have our 2.11. I'm at that age. Colston. 2.12, Mitchell. So what do you got with that second round? What do you see? There's a lot there, and I see a lot of potential in this round. I didn't have a lot of firsts this year. I had a lot of thirds and seconds. So these are the kind of guys I heavily scouted because the first 12, they kind of go the way they go.
Yeah, for sure. Just to comment on my Senat pick, I didn't really have another pick at the time. At the time, my third round pick was someone else. So I kind of saw the gloves were off once Brooks went off the board. Then Cooper, I'm like, okay, we're all just going out here and grabbing our guys. And obviously Beachhead, Big Steve, Robbie, everyone, you have trades. Like it's just a wasteland. So you just got to get who you got to get. It was just a Wild West kind of draft, right? So I like that. I also I don't know, Zach Ertz is in the locker room with him, but Zach Ertz wasn't on a roster for very long last year, right? He kind of just came in for
you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had 7 this round. Mm-hmm. You had a whole bunch of trades going on. I mean, this is a very active league. Those are the reasons I do it. But where you made your move, and this is going to be the staple of your season, tight end 2, people say Sanders, some people say Senat. I'm on the Senat camp. You made that move. You put you flag planted there, and you did it a whole round before Sanders went off the board. Yeah. So what made you, and I'll reveal what I'm going to say in a second, but what made you want to go Senat over Sanders?
Honestly, it just kind of came down to the offense. He's got a rookie quarterback who he can kind of grow and develop with. He's not trying to get another concept. He's just going into the league with a brand new offensive coordinator. Well, not brand new, but like his brand new offensive coordinator, brand new for the Washington Commanders and Cliff Kingsbury. It's kind of risky though, because Cliff Kingsbury will just pull you, or like you'll be out of his offense as quick as he puts you in. So it is kind of risky, but I think with the draft capital they gave him at the end of the second round and not at the time having a third-round pick, I really felt like I just had to make my move on an immediate offensive starter. I was also trying to trade you a little bit to kind of reveal the curtains for Kyle Pitts, remember? Ended up kind of falling through. Didn't have enough value on him as much as you did. We couldn't come to terms, so I kind of had to get tight end.
Are you high on Pitts this year?
No, I mean, I'm not like horribly high, but if you can get an elite guy at a discount because you have a plethora, like you have Brock Bowers, so why would you need Kyle Pitts? You know what I mean?
Yeah. 2 points though for you. For Pitts, I think he's more of a receiver than an actual true tight end.
You got Kirk Cousins too now. So.
The problem with Pitts as a profile, he's a receiver, but he's more of a deep threat. He's not that PPR hog like a lot of people think. So yeah, I've been trying to get off him. The opposite is true when you compare the Sanders and the Sonats. I think Sanders is a better catcher, right? But I think Sonata is a better blocker. And because of that, he's going to be in that 3-down role instantly. Who's he got? Old man Ertz in front of him. I think that landing spot's going to be excellent. I think Sonata is going to be your better tight end in that group. This is a very underrated Johnsons to the incredible Hulk Holker all the way down to 6th round. Some crazy IDP guy took him the penultimate pick, second to last pick. You know, there's a bunch of tight ends that you can kind of get. And again, we don't know, but I thought that was an excellent pick for you. Anybody else in the second round you really like?
Legette's got some returnability, I guess, in the special teams game. So that's kind of nice. I don't really know about that Panthers offense, though. They got a lot of figuring out to do.
I know.
Brian Thomas, like that pick. Lloyd's going to be that backup running back for Green Bay with Jacobs there. So, I mean, kind of nice going off the board at RB3, though. I don't know if I would have done that. I'm surprised Jalen Wright fell, but I'm also not because of his draft or the place where he was drafted to. Actually really surprised that a defensive end hasn't come off the board. Well, actually, never mind. Dallas Turner came off the board. They have him listed as a linebacker. Is he a tweeter? I need to look.
No, he's only listed as an LB right now. Only an
LB?
Right, that's it.
Okay.
And that's what makes me nervous. But those things
like
change. You know what I like to do in expert draft? I kind of like to hold my breath underwater, just see how long I can go without going IDP until I start getting comfortable. Because I seen all you guys taking everything. I'm like, well, let's see if I can go another round. Let's see how quick I can get, because these offensive players are going to go quick. What I liked, he fell at 2.1. He's been falling at the end. The 1.10 is a very exciting place because there's the Worthies, there's the top running back, whoever that is. This is an IDP. Usually McConkey, a Kean Coleman, usually those guys fall in there. In this draft, they didn't. They fell super late. Kean Coleman fell at a good spot. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't have the attributes, but you know what? He never did. He was a slower guy. He's a slower guy anyway. He's going there. That's Josh Allen's dude. I like the pick. I like Ladd McConkey at 2.1, and that's what I was trying to get. So, Beachhead, you not trading with me was the absolute 100% correct decision. You are a super fan for a reason, okay? Ladd McConkey, 98 receptions last year, 1,425 yards, okay? He had 31% of his play in the slot, but he also had 69% out wide. Translation, he's a yak guy. It's all you need to know. He's a yak guy. He can play anywhere they need him to, like a puzzle piece. The Chargers are going to need him. They got a guy named Herbert. He can throw, right? He's going to get on this field. He's probably going to be a sneaky wide receiver one that just happened to fall. The other one I got, Brian Thomas Jr. You remember when we first started doing these drafts? He was up in the first round, wasn't he?
Yeah, at the back end for sure.
I kept trying to figure out why are people fading him. The spot's not that bad, but, the scouts are kind of bagging him. He only runs 3 routes, You can learn that stuff as you go. I think there's excellent value here with Thomas all the way down to 2.
I think, he's going to be more effective earlier than like Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall might have to wait a year because he's in the San Francisco offense, a lot of weapons there. I mean, Pearsall will get in the mix, but he'll probably mainly be a punt returner his first year, right? Thomas is going into a place where Ridley just left. So they're going to have open competition. He's going to have maybe not the pathway, but hopefully by week 9, week 10, you get a guy that's somewhat polished for a rookie and has at least the steady of, or, like the bare minimum amount of route tree down for that offense and have the timing down with the quarterback that he can get in there and kind of help you with your playoff push. So him falling there is nice.
Also Mitchell all the way at the end, I was kind of debating these landing spots because a lot of people were bagging from like 2.7 all the way to 12, the landing spots. I think that's a good landing spot. All he has to do is prove he's a better receiver than Alex Pierce, which isn't saying much, and he's got the wide receiver 3 value. Yeah. Marshawn Lloyd keeps falling in drafts. I have him as my RB4. He went here RB3. I'm not knocking it. If that's your guy, who did that? Beachhead again. He's all over the place in this draft. If that's your guy, you take him there. Great. He doesn't do anything really special, but he's a runner. He's a blocker. He has a lot of fumbles. You can clean that up next level. The only person in front of him is Josh Jacobs. I'm not even counting Dylan. Dylan's more of a fact to me anyway. Yeah. But Josh Jacobs, he signed a 4-year deal, right? No, he signed a 1 guaranteed deal. I can see Josh Jacobs moving on next year. A lot of analysts have Thomas and Lloyd faded, so I just wanted to take the time to explain that. I thought those are good picks in there. I still wouldn't go IDP super early. I'm not knocking if you do. If those are your guys, you take them. Mm-hmm. That's my second round. Any other thoughts on the second round?
No, Junior Colson going at the end of the second kind of broke my heart. I was kind of hoping he would fall a little bit and I could trade back early. But again, Beachhead just all over the place.
I thought that too.
Oh,
I did too.
I want to talk. We made a trade on Mother's Day, 5th round picks in this draft. Right?
Oh,
just wanted to bring that up. That's what I was looking at. I'm trying to look at our trades, and I'm like, we made that. Yeah, okay, that was the struck.
And then me and Mase made a trade on Mother's Day, which proves we are fun to play with in IDP, but we're terrible sons. We are questionable sons for making trades. And you messaged me, you're like, hey man, I'm just gonna take this trade. I forget what it is right now, but it was funny. You're like, I'm taking this trade just to say we made a trade Mother's Day. That was hilarious. Hey, I'm gonna read. You let me know if you remember what it was. I don't remember, but 3.1 Blake Corum, 3.2 Roman Wilson. I trade up to get that pick, so I can elaborate what I'm thinking. 3.3 Baker, 3.4 Polk. That's actually interesting. Baker over Polk debate. That's interesting too. 3.5 Wright. 0.6 Troy Franklin falls to the Shadow Cat. That's a good pick. 3.7 Burton. 3.8 Davis of the Bills. 3.9 Corley of the Jets to Mase. It's another good pick. 3.10 Verse. Another IDP comes off. 3.11 Vidal and 3.12 Sanders to Beachhead, who has every single bingo chip. I don't know why you haven't yelled bingo yet. You got every single one, right? Every single chip on the board, Beachhead. But what do you see in this round? What do you like in? Third round's pretty exciting to me too, as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of those wide receivers that kind of fell through the cracks, right? You want to talk about Roman Wilson?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I do. Personally, and, I looked at you guys' rankings, and, those are great rankings. For the audience on Spotify that can't see my screen, and for the people that are just tuning YouTube, RPO Network, they're doing a promotion right now. They got all their rookie rankings. They got all their dynasty rankings. It's free. And they got these expert analysts. I mean, we got 3 top 25 rankers. We got all these articles. They're great. I previously did a podcast with Jamie Perot. One of us did those rankings. And I'm going to say they were spot on. Maybe there was a couple in between that we didn't really that we have a little higher or less. But to your point, Mase, one of those guys that I had a little higher, I had Roman Wilson. I had him extremely higher. And I'll read it to you. You tell me. But I had Marv Neighbors Rome. I get it. That's how it went. I can see Worthy, Ladd. You can make the case for a Thomas or a Coleman. But after those guys, you're scratching your head. Maybe a Purcell? Maybe? I have Roman Wilson a lot higher regarded than most. I have him as my wide receiver 8. That's why I jumped up to take him there, because I thought that was a mistake, him going at 3.2. Do you have any thoughts on Roman Wilson?
I just think that he has a good opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm not really certain about that offense, and I can't really speak on it. I mean, I know they're going in there with Russell Wilson. He's got a good completion percentage. I'm just not really sure the direction because they do have
Well,
the
let's
200.
talk about that depth chart.
Yeah, they got him in
The
Fields.
depth chart, when you look at it, it's bad.
Is it?
So the Steelers depth chart, okay. Yeah, I mean, because again, it's the offseason here. It's
Yeah.
May, and everybody's like, okay, but when you look at have George Pickens, which is his own player, his own right. He has his different game than Wilson, but you have Van Jefferson starting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Scotty Miller, Quez Watkins, Calvin Austin. All of them dudes Wilson can beat. All of those dudes. So there are a lot of analysts that say this is a bad landing spot for Roman Wilson. I don't see how he doesn't. I don't see how he doesn't take Van Jefferson. I'm not going to say day one because he's probably got to tie his cleats up and go to lunch and talk to his agents and stretch. Day two, he's taking Van Jefferson's role. He's taking the Van out of his name. It's just going to be Jefferson after this. He's going to take it. He's going to take his jersey number. He's going to take the Van. Yeah. So anyway, not teasing, but I think Wilson is a steal. You were down at the Senior Bowl. You seen him play, didn't you? I mean,
I just did the Shrine this year.
There
was a lot on him though. He was in the mix for about first round.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. No, he was one of the highly sought out guys. Like you're saying, like one of those second tier guys that was landing spot dependent, but he did get a good spot. He's got a good opportunity to go and grab a role.
I've been hyping him up. May 15th, Sports Illustrated wrote an article on how they think he's the rookie of the year. He's their sleeper too. So I'm not the only one. Yeah, I'm not the only one saying it. I've probably been hyping him up. Me and Jamie, a pro over at the Fancy Six Pack, but he's a lot of people's player right now, especially where you can fall in drafts. If you know what you're doing, if you know what you're looking for, yeah, I'm going to shoot you the article while we're talking. But if you can build a team around it and then get guys like that, the Bakers, I like Baker pick too coming up here. You can get guys like that late, then you do it. And you just gotta room. I kind of knew that the guys over here were a little lower than I am. So that's kind of how I made that trade super quick and I jumped up. But I mean, let me just speak a little bit on him, just a couple more minutes, because everybody's always giddy about their own picks. He had 700 yards in college on a running team. I mean, come on now. If the team's running all the time, imagine what he can do on a team that's passing. At Michigan, he had 12 touchdowns out of the 24 that they produced through the air. He led in receptions, receiving yards. He was all Big Ten, second team. So put that with his 4.4 speed. Next level, he can be anything. He's a lottery ticket. He's a third rounder here, which I would have took him to second, to be honest. I had a thought too. The Patriots got a young quarterback. They have both Polk and Baker. They're both different profiles. I actually like Baker over Polk, but most drafts you're seeing it the other way around, right?
Yeah, probably, but I'm not really. I mean, in the third round, sure, throw your dart at one of them, but I'm not like at a place where I'm going to definitively say that one of them is going to be better than the other and that I want either or of them. Like, I'll take any of the guys that probably went before them before I even start to mention. Honestly, I'd probably take Franklin and then the guy that I took, Malachi Corley, have them both higher.
Franklin is a good pick there, and I debated taking him there as well. There's a lot of turnover. I don't know the Sultan situation. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, Franklin has an excellent spot. To get him there super late is a sweet deal. Baker, you can usually get extremely later. So yeah. Baker has been one of my sleepers this year, but something Doc Holliday's saying here, like, hey, he's my guy. I have him heavily ranked. Let me go get him here. But yeah, I'm high on the Wilsons and Bakers, maybe a little bit later than most. Who else is interesting in this round too? The Jalen Wright at 3.5. That's Miami. He may be the incumbent after Mostert leaves, which would kill a lot of David A-Chain owners. But they have a type. They have a type. They have a player that they want. They want those speed guys. I had him as my RB3. So Jalen Wright is interesting to me, as well as Franklin, as you said, and Burton. Burton's the immediate replacement for
Higgins or Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd for Boyd, because Boyd left, but also Higgins. Higgins is wanting a new contract. All of those picks in there are some sneaky picks. You see what Pedro did at 3.8 with Davis, the Bills? Mm-hmm. He's a James Cook injury away, if that, of starting, and most people aren't even tracking Davis. I love Davis. Davis in college, he played on 2 separate teams, 2 1,000-yard seasons for different teams. He can be that bull, that running back, that 3-down player that the Bills desperately need. And then you took this guy named Corley. I heard of him. What is this team? The Jets? Jets got a quarterback down there, you say? Tell me about Corley. What do you like in there?
Dude, so I'm a Niner fan. This guy's been referred to as like Deebo Samuel Light, I guess. He kind of plays the same way. I just think that with the lack of options there outside of, my goodness, Garrett Wilson, they did get the wide receiver for the Chargers, whose name is escaping me, Williams. He is injury prone though, and I think it's 3 wide receiver sets. They're going to put Corley in motion, move him, get him in a spot to really like bust out his main skill, which is yak, right? I think they labeled him as like the college yak king. So to go on offense with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's really good at delivering the ball fast in motion, I feel like that's like a right now pick to get in the 3rd round. He may not have like longevity of like 10 years, but I know at least for the next year, hopefully too, if Aaron Rodgers sticks around, that I could maybe rely on Malachi Corley to get a decent amount of points and be a wide receiver 3 or a flex guy or a guy that I can put in on a bye week.
You know what's interesting about Corley? Out of everybody who landed in the perfect spot, like a puzzle piece, he did. Because, when you look at Corley, to the untrained eye, you're like, oh, he landed here. You got Mike Williams. You got this. You got Xavier Gibson. Screw Xavier Gibson, okay? He played in college 92% of his snaps in the slot. He's a slot guy. He's also a kick returner, punt returner, if you guys get that bonus. But he's going to immediately fall into that wide receiver 3-esque slot role, which is what he should really excel in that position. When all your top receivers come off the board and you're scratching heads, I was hoping he fell to me next. Of course, there's a good wide receiver run here with the Franklin, the Burton, the Corley. So by the time I get my next pick and I traded up, you've seen it, I went to 4, expecting one of those guys to fall to me. I actually thought Baker would fall to me, but it is what it is. I mean, you guys were going hard here from the Verses to the Vidals to the Sanders. I didn't expect the IDPs to go super quick, and they did. So kudos to all of y'all. Is there anybody else in the 3rd round we're leaving out, or
No, I mean, I like Verse. I wanted Verse. I didn't really think he was going to last around, though. And I was debating Corley or Verse, and it was just my defensive linemen are pretty good on my team. And I really needed the help. And then I was like, Verse will be good.
Yeah.
But Corley is going to get
there was a lot of good IDP. And, I can go wrong with that. But I was trying to build, and we had this talk similar. I was trying to build this as an orphan team. I was trying to build an offense. I want more offensive players than defense, or at least balance. Seemed like a lot of these teams are IDP stacked. I want more offense than defense because I know later rounds I can get a plug, So I wanted to go that way. But 4.1, I kick it off with Jalen McMillan. In my opinion, he was one of the last of the interesting names that I profiled. Yeah. So I kind of went there. I don't have buyer's remorse, but I was hoping I would get a Burton, a Corley, a Baker, because I know everyone else is higher on the Polks and the Franklins than I am. But anyway, he fell there. With Big Steve go up and get Latu. He sent me a message in the chat. He's like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I got to get Latu. Don't be sorry about it. You got arguably probably the top IDP all the way in 4.2. You're amazing. Yeah. He's probably out fishing right now. When he hears the pod, he'll know. It's a good job. That is probably that's a pick that'll probably win you leagues. 4.3, Luke McCaffrey, sticking with that bloodline. Good job, Alex. 4.4, Payton, right? 4.5, you got Cooper DeJean. You got 4. Next one you got is Robinson. That's that Chop Robinson. So that just goes to show you we're in the 4th round. We're on our DE4. And he got him at some incredible good value. Yes. Lafo at 4.7. Spencer Rattler, Alex comes up to take his guy at 4.8. 4.9, you got Walker. I'm going to need to hear some intel on you about Walker. 4.10, Malik Washington. 4.11, Tracy. And I think this is where the tier breaks a little bit. And then Pedro goes 4.12, Lob. What do you say about this fourth round? What are you thinking?
Latu going off the board breaks my heart. I was really hoping that Verse would have went first around where Big Steve took him, and then Latu maybe would have fallen. Definitely was not the case. Crazy though, you got Dallas Turner going in the second, Verse going in the third, and then Latu going in the fourth. And all those three guys are in a lot of people's top tier. And they all went in three completely different rounds. Like, I mean, I guess Verse and Latu within 4 picks, but the space between Turner and Verse is an entire round. It's wild. Peyton Wilson going before some of the other guys that went, I guess maybe 1 or 2 other guys later on. I don't know, because there hasn't been a lot of Steeler linebackers not named Watt that have not produced for a long time. So for him to even be in a rotational role, you're really waiting. And then we talked on the other podcasts about how he might just be a 1 or like a smaller 2 contract guy. And that's, I don't know, it's not really good for IDP, right? So believing in the athleticism, hopefully it works out, I guess. And in the fourth round, you're throwing darts anyway. So Cooper DeJean going, kind of not bad, I guess. It really just depends on his role, if he's going to be that hard slanging nickel, or if they're just going to.
Is it DeJean or DeJean? Because I say it wrong. I've heard
it
both ways.
I don't personally know. I might.
It sounds like a meal, like a little lunch handy snack. You
try to call him a pizza, like a DiGiorno.
Yeah, let me get the DeJean and the number 2. Latu sounds like a Starbucks drink. I've been saying that. He's probably going to call me up on the phone and say, "Stop shit about me," you know. So, sorry, we got the DeJean pizza there. He's got the kick return value, and he's got the key role as the slot. So he plays pickle. So I like what the Eagles did. I don't know how the Eagles keep doing this in every draft. They're just running circles around this.
You got Rakestraw too, man. Didn't they? Or was that Detroit? Oh, it might be tripping. Okay, so I want to talk about Walker.
What did you say?
I want to talk about Walker.
Yeah, please.
So,
yeah.
Well, I traded my first round pick away, which was Bo Nix, but I traded it away to get Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is currently throwing to, obviously Mark Andrews when he's in, Zay Flowers, who was pretty effective last year, Rashad Bateman, who has been MIA for a lot of his career, and Nelson Aguilar. Aside from those guys, there's not a lot left. So if he can create some kind of traction and get maybe not like an immediate role, but a deeper role and work his way up, there's not a lot ahead of him. And if he can become a target of Jackson's, then that would be really good for me, because I can kind of double down.
Yeah, and that's a good prime role. Like you said, like they cleared out that wide receiver room in the offseason. So, yeah, if he has a role, I was just curious because, like, Walker was always that next tier of guys that, we had ranked. But I don't know if we really, like, in-depth prospect for him. And I knew you were pleased with, because you sent me like your team, like, look at the team I got. So I was just wondering if you had any more takes on Walker in general, besides just the landing spot, No,
yeah, in the fourth round, honestly, from like the third round out, I'm really just looking for opportunity, regardless of anything. Because if you don't have the opportunity, you're not going to get on the field. You can run a 4.2. If you can't get on the field and put pads on, then you're not going to be effective for IDP.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I see that. A lot of these guys in this round, that's exactly what they were. They were like airspace and opportunity, or they don't have the airspace opportunity. They don't have the starter role. They have the potential to make it. Like, he was the last of the good bunch. He was the great wide receivers, in my opinion, that I would look. McMillan doesn't have the tape that everybody else does because he was kind of buried in college. You've seen that, right? What I'm interested with McMillan, the same kind of thing with Purcell, but you get him like 2 rounds later, right? McMillan has Godwin and Evans in front of him, right? He does. With the Buccaneers, he does. But, guys are getting older, and likely one of them is probably not going to get, re-signed, which is probably he's in the Godwin role. And the argument here would be, what about Trey Palmer? Okay, Trey Palmer's kind of cool. I got you, but this guy has higher draft capital than Trey Palmer does, But yeah, that's our third round, and I guess what we'll do, Mase, we'll talk the fifth and the sixth together. I'll just read them all at once, okay? And we'll close this out a little bit quicker if you don't mind. 5.1 Bucky Irving, 5.2 Braylon Allen, 5.3 Cedric Gray, great pickup there. 5.4 Braylon Rice, 5.5, Austin Estime. 5.6, call your shot, Isaac Garendo. 5.7, Will Shipley. A lot of lottery tickets there, right?
Yeah.
5.8, Newbin.
I like that
5.9, Kate Stover. I like that pick as well. 5.10, Trey Wallace. 5.11, Coker. 5.12, Theo Johnson. Followed by 6.1, Cole Bishop. 6.2, your guy, the Knight, right? 6.3, Arnold. 6.4, Robinson of the Cardinals. 6.5, Eric All the Bengals. 6.6, Fisk. 6.7, Jordan Travis. Could be a stash for the Jets. 6.8, Blake Watson. Shadowcat Romero has a great article on your page, the undrafted gems, and he writes all about Watson. So that is so cool that he got his guy.
I love Watson. I saw Watson at the Shrine Bowl. He didn't get an invite to the Combine. You don't know why. He can be really effective catching the ball, running the ball. He's just undersized.
Did you see the interview Sean Payton did? He's like, we're not comparing the Kamara. And for 20 minutes, he talks about Kamara. He does this, he does this, he does. So I'm like, oh, great, we get him.
Oh, for sure.
And then to close up this round, 6.9, Jeremiah Trotter. 6.10, Cal. 6.11, Holker, which I took. 12, Braswell. What do you say in these 2 rounds? Anything in here you see? Anything in here you like?
Let's see. Yeah, I like Tyler Newbin. I wasn't really sure why he was going to fall, but I was debating between him and Cole Bishop. Both of them got picked by, I think, Steve. Yeah, Steve took both of them. So kudos to him for just swooping those guys up in the bottom 2 rounds. I'm like you. Yeah, I usually wait on DBs. But once you get to a certain point, it's like, I mean, you got to take the free cookies, right? Because they're going to be in good roles, I think, next year. Especially Newbin, because that offense is a mess. So I like that pick. We talked about Knight on the other, the other podcast we did. Like him a lot, for at least for opportunity. Robinson, man, for Arizona, that's a great pick. He's got great draft capital. They can use him inside or outside in a multitude of ways. He's definitely going to be, I think, effective rushing the quarterback, so that'll be good. Yeah, I love Watson, man. That's such a good pick. I still don't understand why. Maybe the league just doesn't like him. I don't know what it is, man. I think he's a great player. I really want him to get opportunity because I think he's going to do very well. And then me getting Trotter in the 6th round is insane. It's like the fall off that he's had, at least, is nuts.
And he got the landing spot we wanted. I can't figure it out why people are fading him, to be honest.
Yeah, he might not be effective immediately, but
he would have been our last podcast as far as, guys landing, but I see a role for him too.
Yeah, so I love that landing spot, the legacy spot. He's going to get an opportunity at some point. He's going to get an opportunity. It's just a matter of when. So
we had a lot of trades in this one, which I thought was neat, like especially the last round. I think I traded like a second for next year with Pedro. I got Charles Granderson. I got an extra pick, which I'm going to talk about in a sec here. But it kind of pairs me up with Josh Allen, the Jaguar. So I have 2 top 10 DLs, and I got 2 top 10 DBs. I got the LB, I think, somewhat figured out. So all I got to do is hit on some of these offense. What I wanted to talk about here real quick with you, I like this tight end class. Doesn't really get talked about like the wide receivers. And I'm just going to share with you some of the tweets, some of the things I talked about. Fantasy Receipts. You ever see that website? They retweeted my stuff. So if I'm wrong, I'm probably going to get drugged. But I'm going to start with your boy Ben Sinnott. I kind of forgot to tell you this. 2.9 Ben Sinnott. This is how much I love this guy, okay? His speed score ranks in the top 75% of his class.
Oh, nice.
So, and that's usually what people bag him on. He's in the upper speed, so we're good, right? Burst score, that's what you want. You want that sprinting ability, right? Yeah. He's in the 94%. Agility, 94%. Catch radius, 95%. We're seeing a trend with this guy, right? He landed a perfect landing spot. I see him as your tight end 2. You know who I see as the tight end 3? I don't see Sanders. I see Stover. And Stover didn't get the capital. He didn't get the capital everybody thinks because you got Schultz in front of him, right? But Cave Stover was highly regarded when we first started drafting earlier this year. We were doing our thing. He was the guy. He was a top tight end pre-draft. He had 77 passes last year thrown to him that he caught. 98 reception yards, 10 touchdowns. You can get him in the 5th round. He's a taxi stash for me. Who knows if Bowers is going to work out? He's a taxi stash. A lot of great athletic profiles, a lot of great athletic tight ends. And another one I like the Incredible Hulkster down here, 6.11. I didn't want to take a chance that I was going to miss him. I didn't want to take a chance. I did not. Right. Look at the Saints depth chart. They have 6 tight ends right now.
I was going to say, it's probably the land of misfit tight ends, dude.
The land of misfit toys, yeah. So you got Tyson Hill, which they're not going to re-sign, right? You got John Johnson.
I hope not.
Juwan Johnson, I do too. Juwan Johnson, it doesn't really scare anybody. He's had success, but they got a lot of ash and trash down here, if you will. Hulkster can easily rise above this depth chart. And if I'm wrong, I wasted a 6th. But again, there's a lot of interesting tight ends this year. They have the athletic build. They're seeing produced. I like all the tight ends in here, and I know I skipped a lot of names this pod. Is there anybody else in here you like? Anybody else in here you're seeing?
Yeah,
there's a lot of lottery tickets in here too. Go ahead.
But yeah, Gray in the 5th round. I was really happy to get him there.
And then I took Isaac Guerrero. I mean, you can see CMC gets hurt a lot, right? That guy there. Whoa. I know. I'm trying to be soft. But anyway, that guy there, I can see that one game week 8 or 9 next year where he goes off and never to be heard of again, like a Jonas Hill of the Patriots type of thing. But no, for real though, he could be the next guy in a many teams. But I remember the 49ers Super Bowl with the Chiefs, right? Isaiah Pacheco, how do you say Pacheco? He was kind of running all these sweeps. I can see the 49ers, the wheel spin. Like, we need to get a guy next year. We release CMC. So he could be like the ultimate lotto ticket. Who knows? I don't care for Estime. I'm more of a Blake Watson fan. In fact, we didn't put this in the last pod, but him being an undrafted free agent, he's making more money than Estime is right now. So I see that. And hey, Brendan Rice, shout out to Wildcard at the 5.6. Brendan Rice can be a guy there, easily produce. I was reading something this morning. Jerry Rice was talking about he's upset on the draft capital his son got, and he's going to be in charge of his workouts moving forward. So we can see this guy on a depth chart that's not that scary, easily going in there and producing. Yeah. This was your draft. Any thoughts on those last 2 rounds?
No, just a lot of dart throws. Yep. Braswell being only a linebacker kind of scares me too. I mean, if he was a defensive end or edge, if they were to label him as that, but that's something that you have to look at is where are these players going to be on the field, and then what are they actually labeled as on the platform that you're using, whether it's Yahoo, Sleeper, MFL, CBS, what have you. All these players are labeled different things, so you need to know your scoring format, and you need to pay attention to your surroundings and really figure out what these guys are.
I noticed this league is tight end hungry, so I didn't want to take a chance. That's why I moved back in to get Hulkster. Because again, I don't know, one of those guys between Bowers, I think I'll have a good tight end room. But there's another guy I like if you were to go super deep, and I almost debated it here. The guy's name is Ryan, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, Flourney. It's spelled flower if you're on Flourney. Okay. He's a receiver late, broke out at the combine. Check his stats out. He went to the Cowboys. Okay, the Cowboys room, who do they got? They got Lamb, they got Cook, they got a couple what ifs or coulda, woulda, shouldas. He can easily break in too. So if you're chasing wide receivers and tight ends, which I was this draft, I didn't have the capital for quarterbacks, but if you're trying to build an offense, why not take a shot? But those are my players. I really enjoyed being a part of this draft. I really enjoyed being a part of the RPO network, and I enjoy our friendship, Mase. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being a great analyst like you always are. Any closing thoughts? Anything you're working on besides that 49ers dynasty down there in California?
God, dude, I just want a Super Bowl, man. It sucks. My nephew is like a Chiefs fan now, so he's just been rubbing it in all season, and he beat me in our home fantasy league. So shout out Alex Lane. I got a series coming out, division-based. Top players. I'm going to be doing the IDP side. Shadowcat, the guy who drafted from the 1.6. He's going to be doing the offensive side. He reached out to me, so we're going to be doing that. Say that on RPO Football. Rankings are going to be updated. Just ready for these camp battles and ready to kind of pull the curtain back and figure out what's going on. I appreciate you so much.
I can't wait to get into the preseason because that's when I go down the rabbit hole. The Alice in Wonderland Manhattan Rabbit. I'm like, oh, this guy's playing over here. This guy's doing this. Right now, this is all speculation, and these drafts are fun. But a lot of these lottery tickets, 3rd and 6th round, mark my words, somebody's going to win this league just based on some of those players, putting the time, putting the research in. This is why we lift all the heavy weights, right? We do it all this off season so we can grow, right?
Yep.
All right, but anyway, that's it. I'm gonna close this out. I look forward to the collaboration on you and SC Romero, and then hopefully we can get you guys to come back on and talk about some of those articles, those rankings.
Yes.
Again, promotion right now, you can't beat it. It's all free over there at the RPO Network. Check it out, guys, and we'll check you guys out next week. Thanks for coming on.